quick how-to for you using the new Beachy Waves 6x6 red rubber background stamp from Simon Says Stamp. This is a gorgeous stamp, and I just fell in love with it when Simon released it earlier this summer. I fell in love with it enough to order it. I have, however, been struggling a little bit with how to use it in order to get the kind of background that I wanted, and I finally got it right-ish. This is the final product that I have, and I really like the way that this looks. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit, but I thought that I would show you guys how I've been pulling this off. What I have to use right now is obviously this 6x6 stamp, and I'm not going to use a stamp tool or anything. I'm just going to stick this sticky side right down to my glass craft mat here, as I've learned, and it kind of sticks there and doesn't go anywhere, so that's perfect. So I'll be using this surface. I also have some watercolor paper. This is Canson XL watercolor paper that I've cut down to be a workable size. I buy them in big sheets. I have a couple of Distress Oxide inks here with me. I have Broken China that I'll use for the sky, Salty Ocean for the ocean, and then Fossilized Amber for the sun. And then obviously I have a couple of my blending sponges, and then I have a couple of finger daubers as well in case I need them. I also have my Tim Holtz Distress sprayer, and I have a roll of paper towel here on the side for easy cleanup. So what I have discovered with the inking, more is more. So we're going to put a nice layer of ink directly onto my stamp. Now, I did try the method where I just smooshed the stamp pad down, and I found that that came out a little bit too messy for me. I did like my colors blending, but I didn't like them blending so much that you lost a lot of the detail in the stamp itself. So what's been working well for me is to actually just sponge the ink directly onto the stamp itself. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the sky. So I'm going to use Broken China, which is a little bit, I guess, darker than I would like for a sky. And they did just release a new, Tim Holtz did just release the new Distress Oxide line here. And I know that there's a lighter blue, I'm trying to think, Tumble Glass in there that I will probably invest in. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to ink. I'm putting kind of a nice coverage of just ink you can see on my sky here, and I actually am taking care to stay within the pattern, just because we're going to add a liquid to this and it's going to smoosh a little bit, and I don't want it to smoosh more than how I want it to smoosh, especially when it comes to that sun there, because it will make green. As I have learned on copious other projects that I have gone through. So I'm actually going to take the moment and I'm going to use some paper towel and clean some of this blue right off the sun, because I don't want it there, because I don't want green. Or I don't want much green anyway. I realize that it can't be helped too much, but okay, and I don't necessarily need to go all the way to the edge because my paper isn't going to cover that side. So let's sponge some of the beach here, some of the Beachy Waves. Just taking a little careful around that sun. And I'm putting on a nice coat of Distress Oxide ink. And the good news is that Distress Oxide ink goes very well when you blend it directly onto the rubber. It's going very easily. And I made it a little bit more smudge with the blue here, so I'm going to just clean that up really quick. And then the same thing with the yellow, the Fossilized Amber. Oops, I'm going to take care to make sure it stays in the sun. Now, I tried a bunch of different ways to get this transferred to the watercolor paper, and this is the method that I have found that works best for me. Look at that. I've got some yellow here over the line. I'm going to clean that up, and then I'm just going to put some more Salty Ocean right where I accidentally just wiped some up. No big deal. And there's no real huge rush on this. Even if it dries a little bit, we're going to put some liquid on there. Okay, so here's the best way that I have found. I'm going to move my ink back a little bit. I've tried spritzing water directly on here. I've tried spritzing water directly on the paper. And for me, spritzing directly on the paper is key, excuse me, to getting some of that detail transferred without a lot of the smoosh. This is an example of one that I put the water directly on the stamp, and as you can see, you can still figure out what it is. I'll probably still use this background. It's just, I lost a lot of the detail and I didn't want to lose it. So I found that putting water directly on the watercolor paper is what works for me, but there's a key. It's just a very fine mist of water on here is enough. You don't want to oversaturate your watercolor paper, just a fine mist. And even like that might even be too much. I don't know if you can see in the camera here, I have a couple of large droplets on here that I don't want because those are going to make smudges that I don't want. So I'm just going to take my paper towel here and just kind of dab away the large ones so that there's just a fine mist of damp on here. If you hit this with a heat tool, it would only take a moment to dry. So it's just lightly damp, and I'm going to very carefully and as straightly as possible just lay it right down onto my stamp, and I'm going to press, and I'm going to use my fingers to make sure that I'm pressing down in all the areas, and I'm not worried about my fingers getting dirty. I don't care. A little lava soap or a little charcoal soap, get that cleaned up in no time. For charcoal soap, I like to use Gender Bender from Perfectly Posh. I have a bunch of the sample sizes that I keep in my kitchen. Help clear that ink up without any issues. All right, so we've pressed this whole thing down, and let's pull it up and see what we have. Ooh, this is probably my best one yet. Look at that. It's upside down for me, but look at that. I've kept all of the details with the wave, and I have my my sun, and there's not too much leakage that's making too much green. In fact, it kind of looks intentional, and I like it that way. And that's just very careful placing. You can see some of them I've got too much green because I had either too much water or too much ink spilling over the edges of where I wanted it. This one has come out perfect. This is probably my best one so far. I'm so excited. Let's see if we can do it again using the same method. Now, I'm not really going to clean my stamp, but I am damping off some of the water here, because some of the water transferred from the watercolor paper, and I just don't want to taint a second one here. Hello there. I haven't quite figured out how to add music in a video in like the middle of a video and have it not take over the whole video. So I'm still obviously very new at actually editing and trying to make a video for anyone other than me to look at. But anyway, so I just wanted to pop in and let you know that if I was a normal person with actual intelligence in this area, this would be some fun, pretty song that doesn't violate anybody's copyright or anything. There would be some fun music for you to watch at this point, but I'm just continuing with inking up as I had before, just making other ones. That's all. I had a lot of fun with this project. I'm doing this voiceover on a different day than when I actually filmed this, and I actually missed doing this, and now I want to pull everything out and do it again, just watching. Anyway, I'm going to be back to the next part of the video in a second, so thanks very much. I'm back. I've just cleaned off my stamp with a little water, and I grabbed some spiced marmalade and some abandoned coral, and I thought we would try to play a little bit and see if we can make a sunset. I'm going to use my daubers here, and let's grab some of that abandoned coral to do the sky closest to the water's line. Here is the darkest color. The abandoned coral is a little bit hard to see on the red rubber stamp. This is a beautiful color. So there we go with the abandoned coral. Is this the spice marmalade dauber? I don't even know. It's close enough. Okay. And then some of that orange into the sky, and then we'll blend it out. This one also looks kind of weird on the red rubber. Let's get this nice and blend that out a little bit. feel like the Bob Ross of rubber stamps right now. Okay, let's get some of the sky using the same fossilized amber. Let's get the sun going. Trying to get to the edge but not over with my ink. And of course with this particular color blend, I'm probably not going to stress too much. Ooh, the color bleeding over. That's my air conditioner kicking on. I do apologize. Nothing I can do about it. And let's do the salty ocean again for the water. That was really dumb. I just dipped it in the spiced marmalade and not the salty ocean. And I just did that on camera, which makes me really smart. I'll worry about that later. Not everything comes out perfect. We'll see if we can just rub that away. Oh yeah, I hope that's okay. We'll see. I can't, as my mother would say, I can't any more than kill us, right? So we'll give it a shot. I'm just gonna try covering some of this blue. Okay, let's try this again. Moving my pads back so I don't ruin them any more than I already have. Going to wet the paper. Just very light mist. Going to quickly sop up some of the, some of the big blobbies. I'm not going to stress a couple drops of whatever. Okay, now it's too dry in that spot. We call this winging it. Okay, a little clean piece of paper towel. Let's try this again. Come on, sunset. And let's have a look. Ooh, I really like that. That's really pretty. That came out really nice. That came out better than expected. I like that. Very nice. Now to clean the stamp, all I've been doing is just spritzing it down with some water and giving it a wipe, just making sure that I get it off the raised surfaces of the stamp here. I am aware, and I'm not sure if you can see from the position of where the camera is, that there is some ink stuck inside these little grooves here where the pattern is. I'm not too worried about that right now, but before I put it away for the day, I'll go to the kitchen and I'll give it an actual good wash so that it doesn't actually dry that way with the ink. So I'm going to keep going. I have a couple more backgrounds that I wanted to ink for different projects. I'm going to keep going, and I'll just fast forward through this footage and then be back at the end to chat. Hello, it's me again. You know, the voiceover fairy that doesn't know how to add things properly and edit videos properly. Sorry about that. I do keep my eye out. Sometimes local, like high schools and colleges and stuff, will offer adult education, different little how-to things, and it's always when you don't need one, right? You get the little pamphlet in the mail telling you what kind of courses they offer. It'd be really neat, and I do keep my eye out for somebody that offers some kind of video editing, whatever, anything like that. These sorts of things didn't exist back in my day, and I just never really learned how to do it, and I don't really have the patience to sit there and read about it, so I just kind of jump right in and try to figure out how to do it anyway. So I just continued to play with trying to make some sunset backgrounds. It was like it just opened up a whole new world when I remembered that I didn't have to just stick to regular blue sky. So I had a lot of fun with this, and one of the things that I start doing here in this video as well is adding more than one color in the ocean as well. I tried with doing the water like a dark blue and then put light blue accents on some of the twirls of the water, and then the other way around I would do the light blue and then do the dark blue. So I had a lot of fun with that. It gave a little bit more texture to the background. You'll see for yourself. I really do love my Distress Oxide inks. I am pretty glad with my selection. I do know that Tim Holtz just came out with the 4th installment of the Distress Oxides. So far I have the first 3 in their entirety. I'm probably going to skip buying the whole collection because I seem to not... pretty much all my favorites are covered and I seem to not need too much beyond that. And I have a really hard time using some of the browns and things. And in fact, I have a video coming soon where I show an idea that I have for using up some brown Distress Oxide inks. But there's a couple that I want, but other than that, I'm probably going to skip buying the whole thing. But anyway, love Distress Oxide inks. Don't be afraid to play with them, people. Play, play, play. That's pretty much all I'm doing here is just playing, and I happen to have been filming. Anyway, I'll be back to the conclusion in just a minute, so thanks for your patience. Hello, back again. I just washed my stamp here, and I'm just going to let it dry, air dry before I put it back. And this is at cleanup point because I have finished my projects here. Let's go over them real quick. This is the last ones that I did, just playing with some 2 different colors in the ocean, and of course in addition to the sky. And then here's the sunset one, and here are the ones that I did with just a regular sky and ocean. And then of course these are the ones that I did at the very beginning, just experimenting with different kinds of water. And I have a other pile of ruin projects as well that I did off camera, working with that too. So now I have a bunch of different backgrounds for various cards that I have going, so look for those cards coming up in the future, and I hope that this has been helpful. Please leave any questions that you might have down below. Again, the key really is just to lay it on thick on the rubber stamp itself, and then a very just light mist of water without too many blobbies, and then just press the watercolor paper directly down to the stamp and hold that into place. And that's really the best thing that's worked for me, and it's really quite simple. And with just a couple of different colors of Distress Oxide, I've made these really beautiful backgrounds that have a lot of different depth of color, and I really enjoyed this. So I hope that this has been helpful, and if you have any questions or whatnot, let me know. I'll have products linked down below. Take care. Bye.